It is Monday morning, June 22nd of 2020. And it's almost like a normal day of going to work. Right here on Guy's Daily Drive. Good Monday morning to everyone who may or may not be watching Guy's Daily Drive live on the Facebooks as I'm heading to work. And I'm gonna be at work all week. Every single day I'm going into work this week. Now this isn't my regular week. You know, because of everything that's going on, they have us split into teams. So I'm on the green team, and this is blue team's week. However, before they made the decision to have everybody come back, the guy that was covering for, well, actually, let me go back a little bit. There's like 3 people who, you know, we don't all have the same job. As a matter of fact, we all have very different jobs. But, and I know this sounds weird, we all kind of do the same thing, more or less the same thing. So when the decision was made to start bringing people back to work, the 3 of us were kind of put onto different teams, because that way there would always be someone at work that could cover. Well, on this particular week, which wasn't my week, the guy whose week it was is in the process of getting ready to move his son to Ohio for school. And he already had leave slips filled out, so he couldn't be here this week. And the other guy worked last week, so he couldn't work this week. So that left me. And okay. You know, but the weird thing is, I worked Friday because the guy that we had, that was the other guy that we have, it was normally his day off. Because he works 4 days a week, every other week. It's hard to explain. So, but I covered for him, and then I'm covering for the other guy this week, and then I'll be in on next Monday because the other guy will still be out, and then he'll cover for me next week. But that's a short week. That's like 3 days because of the July 4th holiday. So I traded 4 days for 7 days, and he traded 5 days for 3 days. So it's the new math. It all equals out. That's how that works. So that's okay. You know, I mean, it's good to get out of the house and do some different things. So that's a good thing. And it is good to get out of the house. So I'll be working this week, and I don't know how many Guys Daily Drives that I'll get done in that time period. I didn't do any last week that I've released. Now I did, this is the weird thing, I did one last Friday. I wasn't able to do one on Wednesday, but I started one. What are you doing? Thank you for keeping in your lane, I appreciate that. I started one on Friday morning, and the topic was basically problems in technology, and that, you know, you do the things that you do sometimes not because of technology, but in spite of technology. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to finish it because as I was starting to wind down, I looked up and I realized that my Facebook Live had ended. So, like the last however long it was that I had been recording hadn't been recorded because of technical problems. How ironic is that? On a show where I was complaining about how technology sometimes keeps us from doing the things that we want to do, I was kept from doing the thing that I wanted to do because of a failure in technology. So, very meta. That was very, very meta. Earlier, I just dropped my son, Guy Jr., off at work. And after dropping him off, coming up the road that I'm on here, there's a Krispy Kreme shop that I've talked about many times that occasionally people who follow the live stream have seen me pull into and go through the drive-thru for Guy's Daily Drive to get donuts, usually on Wednesdays. But I was strong. So strong. I didn't stop for the donuts. And I have to admit, I regret it now. I regret not stopping for the donuts. But don't need the donuts. Don't eat the donuts. Be good about not eating a bunch of crap. Yesterday was Father's Day. And Guy Jr. came back up from Richmond, so he was there. My other son, Peter, unfortunately had to work, though he did call. And we're talking about setting up a trip to go to a theme park. Now, for people who have followed me in social media or some of the various podcasts that I do, a few years back, 3 years back, as a matter of fact, was Peter's 21st birthday. And for his 21st birthday, he and his friend Jake, who had a birthday right around the same time, wanted to go to Universal Studios. So Jake's father and myself, we put this trip together. And neither one of them liked to fly, so no flying. And I have to say, I'm not a huge fan of flying myself. So we rented a car, and we drove. We drove from this area. I picked them up where they were living at the time, which was in Fredericksburg, Virginia. And in a single day, we drove all the way down to Orlando. And actually, no, not Orlando. We went to St. Augustine, and then a couple of days in Daytona, then Orlando. But we ended up at theme parks, which is what they wanted. And this has become like a regular thing for Peter and Jake. Every year for their vacation, they go down, and it's almost always been Universal Studios. Well, they weren't able to do it this year because of the pandemic and everything else, all the other craziness that's going on. And they really missed it. And even if they could have traveled down to Florida, the parks were closed. And since the parks were closed, it didn't make any sense to do that anyway. So I have been looking at local parks in this area, and there's a number of them. There's Busch Gardens in Williamsburg. There's King's Dominion in just outside of Richmond. There's Six Flags in Maryland, though I have to say I'm not a big fan of that park. There's Hershey Park in Pennsylvania. There's Kings Island and Cedar Point in Ohio, as well as Dollywood in Tennessee and a few others, Carowinds in North Carolina, I think. I mean, there's a lot of large theme parks that have roller coasters and all the rest of that in the area. Now, do they match up to the grandeur and the theming of the Disney parks or Universal Studios? No. But they're fun parks. They're roller coasters. And, you know, you can have a good time. Most of them are just starting to open up in a limited capacity. You have to make reservations because they're only allowing so many people in at a time. And I don't know how well that's going to work out for them because they, you know, if you still have to have the same number of people at the park in order to keep the rides going and all the concessions open, or most of them. I guess a lot of the food ones you don't have to have open. As well as having an expanded cleaning crew, because you're going to need to deep clean not just the rides, but the concession stands and the what do you call it, the turnstiles and the wait lines, you know, the areas that you stand in to wait to get on the rides and all of that. Those will all have to be cleaned on a regular basis. So you may actually need more people than you normally would, and you'll have less people in the park. So, you know, it's less money coming in, though it is money coming in, with more expense. I don't know if that's affected ticket pricing. I haven't really looked at it that far. But besides the limited number of people that they're going to allow in, there's also going to be temperature checks at the gates, and anyone who has a temperature above a certain mark will not be allowed to come into the park, which basically means that it's not just them that's affected by that. You're going to have everyone else that's probably in that party won't be able to go in as well. You know, I mean, if you're all in a car and you're driving in a car together for a number of hours, and someone in your party, whether it's COVID-19 or not, that has a fever and isn't going to be allowed into the park because of that fever, then chances are whoever else is in that car is also going to be infected. So it's pretty much everyone can't go. Plus the fact that if someone's left out, then, you know, unless they're an adult and just go back to the hotel room or wherever it is, you know, you can't. If you've driven 3 hours, say, to go to a theme park, and you have a 21-year-old person who has a high fever and can't go into the park, what are they supposed to do while everybody else in your party goes into the park and hits the theme park? They're not just going to sit in the car, in a hot car, for however many hours. Anyway, there's all kinds of restrictions for theme parks, and we're working through the details now, but I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks, or at least July, August, that time frame, that I'll be able to go to a theme park with Peter and Jake, and I don't know who else would be going. We'll see. You know, it might not work out. Hope it does. I could use some fun. Plus, just to get out of this area for a little bit, I really just want to be someplace else than here. So, I think that is going to do it for today's Guy's Daily Drive. Thank you for watching and or listening if you're checking this out later on. This will be on YouTube's. You can also find it'll be on Facebook, of course, which is where this is going out live, as well as my own personal website, vertshark.com, where you can find pretty much everything I do. We just released the video version of the MyMac.com podcast. The audio version, of course, you can find at mymac.com and through the podcatcher of your choice. If you'd like to subscribe to the audio versions of everything I do, just look up Guy's Daily Drive, and in that feed will be not just Guy's Daily Drive, but the Mac to the Future live cast I do on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. with Warren Sklar and David Ginsburg. They'll be there, as well as the occasional once a week, if it works out, audio version of the video version of the Mac to the Future podcast. I know that sounds confusing. It confuses me as well, and I'm the one that's editing it. If you'd like to reach out to me, my email address is guy@mymac.com. I am on the Twitters under both MacParrot and VertShark. And if you would like to contribute to the things that I do to help me out, pay for microphones and subscriptions to the host company that hosts all the audio, well, you can do that too. Patreon.com/MacParrot, Coffee, ko-fi.com/MacParrot, PayPal.me/MacParrot. As usual, over there on the YouTubes, you can find me there. Look me up under Guy Searle or VertShark, because that's where I started tagging, or that's how I started tagging all of my stuff there on YouTube. VertShark is probably the easiest way to find all the latest stuff that I do. And if you're there on YouTube, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Need to see it again? Like, share, subscribe. I would appreciate that. And with having said all that, I'm almost to work, so I am going to stop rambling. Thank you again for watching and or listening to Guy's Daily Drive, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.